The night before Christmas, when all through the house, old Scrooge laid barbed wire about Santa, he groused, armed to the teeth against the tree-totaling traitor, that roof-climbing, two-timing winter invader.
Santa stole Christmas. Santa snatched Christmas. This is an interesting episode because not only do I think it should have appeared later in the month, same thing with the Halloween episode, but I'm not quite sure how the December schedule is going to work, So, whatever. Ultimately, that's not what's really important about this video. This video answers the question, what is Scrooge's deal with Santa? Because if you recall, the first time we heard about Scrooge and Santa was this.
No! That churlish chimney chaser is not to be trusted!
And that sort of implied something. As a matter of fact, the entire series sort of establishes that Scrooge has a beef with Santa, but we don't quite get the details. And this episode goes into those reasons. And what's interesting is the reasons don't quite feel as important as was necessary, but you sort of get it. This episode sort of relied on two things. Webby really selling her loyalty to Scrooge, which was great. Also, shout out to Della for also pretty much having that same level of loyalty.
That man is not allowed in our home. He knows what he did.
But we don't!
The less you know, the better.
You don't know, do you?
Deciding to, if Scrooge says Santa's an enemy, then Santa's an enemy. I don't care what he's giving away. No. Boss man says he's bad. He's bad. Love that. And the other thing it relies on is Scrooge and Santa's interactions. And I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe I expected a bit more antagonism from Santa. But, the idea that Scrooge just disagrees with Santa on more of a basic principle of sort of where does this organization go? Is it just full-on charity, or is there an attempt to profit? And the problem is they're both at two opposite ends. And they don't really agree to meet in the middle. That's sort of where it falls apart. The way the episode was sort of building up, you thought Santa had done something like, bad. As it was going on, finding out the story of the first Christmas Santa has, how the role Scrooge played into it, as Scrooge says, Christmas was his idea. It was actually more of a joint idea. And they disagreed about exactly what that meant. So Santa wants to give away stuff for free. Scrooge is not a big fan of handouts, at all. That's across the board most of the time. Actually, it's a pretty consistent thing about Scrooge's character. He is not a fan of giving something away. He's a fan of giving opportunities, but never so much flat out giving money away. It really doesn't do anything for Santa's character. Santa's just more likable as the episode goes on. Even with the reveal of his sort of lie that he's fine. He just wants to spend time with, I guess, Scrooge is his best friend. Is Santa Scrooge's best friend, or was his best friend? We don't quite know. Maybe, possibly, not really. Even across multiple canons, I don't think Scrooge has a best friend. It's just sort of not. Maybe Teddy Roosevelt. Or the Duck in the Iron Mask. It depends. But sort of the idea that hammers home to Scrooge in this story is, in Scrooge's mind, Christmas should be not about giving people what they want, but what they need, what they should appreciate.
It's with everyone. When I was a poor lad, I would have killed for a lump of coal on Christmas. It may not be the frivolous thing you want, but it's the practical thing you need to give you warmth for even just one night. And what could do that better? A warm heart can carry you through the coldest times.
And I felt like that's, again, sort of the cross points that Scrooge and Santa are at. Santa's all about giving you what you want, what you hope for. And Scrooge is, well, they also need other things. And Scrooge is like, well, we should probably provide a way for them to get it, buy it. Again, Scrooge wants to run a business, Santa wants to run a charity. Overall, this episode it's alright. It reminds me a bit of the Doctor Who episode. What was it, last Christmas? Was it last Christmas? With the Dream Crabs and the 12th Doctor and Santa going back and forth. Sort of like that. But, you know, it is what... that's sort of it. Like another possible Doctor Who reference in the Ducktales reboot. But anyway, that's not really the important thing about this episode. This episode is actually really good, really solid. Again, great Webby moments, great Webby and Scrooge moments. If officially, headcanon, Scrooge has actually made Webby his heir. I'm calling it now, maybe. Like, the heirs are going to be either Webby, Della, or Huey. And maybe Donald. But Donald will be at the bottom of that list. That's all I'm saying. But the real news is something that came about this week over the past couple of days, which was that, hey, DuckTales is canceled. Now, some say, hey, it's just finishing up, or we haven't heard anything, and to be fair, the first news of this came from someone who didn't really give any sources, but just pretty much said, hey, the production staff is doing other projects, which they really shouldn't be doing. You know, there's been no new news as this season's coming to a head, and earlier... I want to say, like, maybe was it Friday? Like, either Thursday or Friday, I came across this letter shared by not just other DuckTales YouTubers, but also by Frank Angone's Twitter. It's pinned on his tweet, on his wall, on his Twitter page. We've always said that you have to go into every season of a show as if it's your last. Leave nothing on the table and have faith that your team will eventually be able to top it. With that in mind, we crafted Season 3 of DuckTales as one focused on legacy, on the future of the Duck family, and what that means. Tying into question and mysteries that were set up way back in the very first episode of our show, so ultimately we were prepared for this season to be our last. Our whole team is so proud to be part of the continuing legacy of these characters. Even more so, we're proud of the community that this show has given us, from our dear friends on the crew and cast to all the fans we've met both in person and online who share the same love that we have for these incredible characters. We're sure we'll have much more to say later, but right now we want to thank you for all of your kind words and support throughout this whole adventure and focus on delivering a fittingly epic adventure for Clan McDuck as the series draws to a close, because at the end of the day, we're all fans and we're all family. And family truly is the greatest adventure of all. Huh, that's weird. Usually there's some kind of crash before we can finish. Oh no, the ground! Woo! Matt and Frank. So, yeah, from the sounds of it, they've set up Season 3 like they do every other season, so, well, minus Season 1. And Season 2, actually. So, effectively, they set up every season to be the definitive end. Actually, no. Let's just call this what this is. They've never actually set up a season to be the definitive season, to be their last season. Season 1 ends with the Tears of Della. Season 2 ends with the reveal of Fowl. So Season 3 more than likely will end with no reveal at all. So why is this coming about? Anyone's guess, really. We know that Disney has been losing a lot of money due to the shutdowns, and I've come to the conclusion, I think a lot of us have, that Disney's actually grown too big to sustain itself with all the properties it owns. And the parks, okay, so when parks like that close, all the equipment that has to be maintained, anything they keep, all of a sudden it's just losing them more and more money the more they don't get to use it. And those parks are expensive. They're really expensive. Why it's so expensive to go there. And from what I've heard, like, it's really expensive to make an episode of DuckTales. This is equivalent to the Green Lantern cartoon that came on DC Nation when it was on Cartoon Network, as well as Beware the Batman. Those episodes were expensive to make, and that sort of, sadly, is why Teen Titans Go gets to survive, because I think it's pretty cheap to make. So, yeah, also I've heard the ratings have been down. I don't really pay attention to the ratings. I don't look to them as a reason how to judge whether something is good or bad. I mean, just because a bunch of other people don't like it doesn't mean it's bad. A bunch of people don't like Dawn of Justice. I personally love that movie. You know, I can't account for their bad taste. I can only account for my bad taste. So, whatever. It will be sad to see this go. I'm hoping that it will not just be regulated to Disney+. That seems like it doesn't fix the problem. You know, don't put Season 4 exclusively on Disney+. Just don't. I feel like that'll be a mistake. It doesn't fix the problem. You just want more people to buy the streaming service. And that's kind of it. I mean, in my mind, if the ratings still go down when it's on television, it wouldn't really go up when it's on the streaming service. That's kind of it. So, whatever. Sad to see it go. If this is the last season, I can really do a more in-depth review on the entirety of the series, give it its pros, its cons, and have a really nice conversation, but I'll still have some more DuckTales lore video. I promise you that. If there's one thing I can talk about, it's DuckTales. And the entirety of the Duck franchise. To an extent. There are some who have greater knowledge than I. Anyway, we're rambling. We're about 10 minutes, so no. So anyway, with that in mind, we'll bring this video to a close here. If you are new to the Bucket Think Tank, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out some other videos, and I'll catch you all later. This is the Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching, and as always, may your fandom serve you well.
And so Scrooge welcomed Santa, thus ending their fight, claiming,
Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Ho, 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 ho.
Dark bird Christmas.